Hello and welcome back to TriggerSmart. I want to cover a few different things today, Charlie Kirk related, and some weirdness around the witnesses. I know there's tons of information going around, and a lot of the other channels, like I'm Coach Colin, they're releasing like 20 videos a day. A lot of the stuff is speculation, and there's a reason why I don't do as many videos as often, because a lot of it's BS. Let's talk about this first one. So we have strange things like this. We have this bizarre threat directed at Erica Kirk came from the armed forces of Ukraine. This was the post that went out. 3 soldiers said she should watch her neck if she continues to say the same things about Ukraine as her late husband did. Charlie Kirk advocated for stopping all financial aid to Ukraine. And it turns out it was fake. Debunking the video claim shows Ukrainian troops threatening Charlie Kirk's widow. And this was the video, the original one that was in the post. A video purporting to show Ukrainian soldiers destroying an effigy of the killed U.S. conservative influencer Charlie Kirk and threatening his widow Erica is likely to be the work of a Russian disinformation unit, experts have told BBC. So in the video, millions of views, group of soldiers dressed in Ukrainian uniforms address Erica Kirk and basically threaten her if she feels the same way that Charlie did about stopping aid to Ukraine. The group's known as Storm 1516 and has a history of creating staged videos posing as Ukrainian soldiers. And this has also been posted many other places besides just the BBC. So again, you report on this stuff one day, and the next day you have to report that it was false. Not really into that. So what are your thoughts on that? Do you think it's fake? Let me know in the comments. So now I want to cover some of the witness statements. This is kind of interesting. So some of these witness statements are from like the same day that this happened, and some are a little bit later, a couple of days later. And then the final ones we're going to cover are the 4 people that came out as witnesses. This came out a few days ago. Very sketchy, but we'll look at that.
We're joined now by Tiffany Barker and her nieces Elle Steele and Mia Grant, who were all in the audience yesterday afternoon. Thank you for joining us this morning. I know it's been a difficult day for all of you right now. And Tiffany, let me begin with you. Just tell us what you remember about the scene yesterday.
It was horrific. There was one shot that rang out, and everybody instantly looked around and then fell to the ground. People saw Charlie instantly get shot in the neck, and everybody fell to the ground, and then people started running and got run over. And I was with my family. We had 16 of us there, so 5 adults and like 11 children, and we instantly got separated. We're trying.
So the first thing that's weird about this, 5 adults, okay, maybe, 11 children. And judging by the age of these children, they're definitely not college age, and they might not even be high school or middle school age, to be honest. So that's very strange that she's taking 11 kids that are younger to a Charlie Kirk type of event. That kind of stood out to me. The fact that she said, seen him get shot in the neck. So depending on where they were at, how would they know that? And you're going to see that's pretty consistent if you look across all these different interviews, especially the ones that came out a few days ago. They really focus on that. I saw him get shot in the neck. And that's just repeated across. Maybe they did, but a lot of people in different positions, they're not going to see that.
To find everybody, and we had amazing Good Samaritans that grabbed kids. One took my niece and took her to her apartment.
Now, to me, she seems like a very bad actress. Almost like she's overacting. And the kids look like they're posing there, like they're supposed to just stand there and look like children. Your mom's going to do a quick acting job, and they're going to move on.
Somebody grabbed these 2 and my daughter and took them over to the tennis courts and stayed with them till I came.
These 2 and my daughter, so these 2 aren't even her daughters? So why are they standing with her right now? Kind of weird. How come her daughters aren't with her?
It was a super awful tragedy, and there were really...
Super awful tragedy. No one talks like that. Especially when they're like, if this had just happened and this is an eyewitness, she would not be talking that way, making the weird faces she's making. Super awful tragedy. Nothing about this seems real at all. All right, let's look at a couple more.
Initially, we hit the ground immediately. We were, by the grace of God, we were very close to the front. We were in the front row. As you looked at the stage, we were on the left side. And in fact, some of the videos, you can see me kind of opposite of Charlie. And we were able to there was a big portal, almost a large tunnel behind the stage. And we were able to kind of low crawl, walk, kneel behind the stage. And there was some emergency vehicles parked back there that kind of gave us.
He says he was close to Charlie. All these witnesses seem to be very close to Charlie. They're close enough that they can tell that he got shot directly in the neck. This guy's saying that there were emergency vehicles parked in the back under the tunnel. And we've heard from many other sources that there were no emergency vehicles. There were no ambulances. There were no police cars back there. Kind of strange. And then we have this guy here who a lot of people say he's an asset. We'll just say that. Has a lot of strange connections to the Charlie Kirk campaign, and not in a good way. Says he follows him around everywhere and tries to basically go around and kind of harass him wherever he goes. And it's a whole group that's doing this, and he's part of that group. But he also has ties to other organizations and things that have supposedly been very anti-Republican, very anti-Charlie Kirk.
Do you know how many mass shooters there have been in America over the last 10 years?
Counting or not counting gang violence?
Great.
So that's him right there. And this is the guy that everyone said was acting. He was practicing, like freaking out before that. And now he says in an interview, he claims that he was reacting to someone else who was saying something else. But in the videos he was doing that in, he seems to be kind of on his own. But interesting.
I went down pretty immediately, and everyone near me, everyone in the rest of my line, who I'd been talking to for the last like few hours, dropped down with me. I remember I have a brother who was in a school shooter.
He has a brother who was in a school shooter, Freudian slip, who was in a school shooting, corrects himself. Kind of interesting.
He was in a school shooting, and I was talking about the distinction between these. That like for me, it was there wasn't as much fear as I think I would expect, because
So he's saying he wasn't even scared. I wonder why. Interesting. So the thing that's really interesting about all of these interviews is they all seem to be kind of the same people repeated across different networks and things. They all seem kind of hand-chosen. Many of them, if you do the research, are anti-Charlie Kirk. And then the other ones kind of seem like maybe they're alleged agents. Like maybe they were planted in there, or they were planted for these interviews. I don't know. What are your thoughts? All right, so here we have some other witnesses, and this was shortly after. Let's see if this is any more realistic.
Yesterday, Marky, when all of this unfolded, I have Jackson, Natalie, and Stephanie, who are here this morning. Correct me if I'm wrong, this is the first time you've been back since this happened?
That's right.
Yeah. Jackson, I'm going to start with you. We were talking before we came on. You're a big fan of Charlie Kirk. You were pretty close to where he was and when this happened. Can you kind of share with everybody what you saw and what it was like for you?
They were all very close.
I just heard a big loud noise like a popper that you can buy on the 4th of July. And I looked over at Charlie and I just saw him.
That's one thing very interesting, because a lot of these people are saying they heard a pop like a firework, not a gunshot. Now, I've never heard... I've shot a lot of different guns, suppressed, unsuppressed, different types, different calibers, and I've never heard one sound like a firework. So it's very interesting.
And everybody was just ducking and running inside. And it was all just so scary.
Jackson.
So now I want you to look there. He says it was so scary, right? Not insanely frightening situation. Right? Like the words. So let's see if the mom and the sister, whoever this is, are more realistic as well.
Close were you? I mean, it was a loud one shot, but how close were you? And you say you watched him fall back. I mean, what does it feel like in that moment?
It felt unreal. I was probably like 25 feet away maybe. It felt really unreal, and I just wanted him to be okay.
And Natalie, you were there too, with a big group of people, right?
Right.
So notice everyone's there with a big group of people. Might make sense, maybe.
What's going through your mind? You hear a shot, right? And then everyone scatters. What was going through your head?
Right. We were, and I'm with my sister, and Jackson's our nephew. We were with 16 family members and 10 children. So as soon as...
So this one said 16 family members and 10 children. The other one said 5 adults and 11 children. Is this the same people? Is this the same group that they were talking about before with the very strange interview where she said her daughter was somewhere else and she had these two random girls next to her. Interesting.
We heard the shot go off. We were looking for each other and trying to find people, and as everyone was scattering and looking around, we're trying to find everyone there.
You said 16 people?
Yeah, my parents and my sisters, and he's really, and our kids, and he's really a hero for us and for so many people in this country. He's stood up for free speech. He showed us how we could dialogue with each other in a respectable manner, and we really looked up to him as a hero.
And Stephanie, you were here as well. I mean, your reaction, I mean, you're running for your life. You see stuff like this happen. Do you ever think, I mean, it's going to happen at the event you're going to?
Sometimes you think that because when you are in the, like, a patriot and you're trying to stand up for the right things for our country, we gather a lot and things like that, so you kind of always know that's a possibility. But I think that, my goodness, it was such a eventful minute. As the second the shots went down, everybody just like dropped.
Eventful minute, the second the shots went down. And now, by the way that she's kind of stuttering, she's overthinking and she's like looking around, down, not looking at camera, not looking at the interviewer. Kind of strange to me.
To the ground, but I stayed up because we had too many family members there. And
so everyone got down but her. She stayed up because she was going to put on her hero cape and she was going to save everybody.
Trying to look for all of us and unite, and it took us about 30 to like 40 minutes to be able to locate each other. Our cell phones didn't work. Like, it was just a lot of mayhem. And just
now the cell phone's not working. This is something else that I've heard from a lot of places too, that it seemed like the radios for the security team and a lot of people's cell phones didn't work. And she's saying that it didn't work for up to like half an hour or more as she's looking for these family members, she says. That's interesting. And a lot of people have had supposedly images, video erased from their phones remotely. Interesting.
I don't know, such a sad day for America. Sad day for everyone.
Sad day for America. Sad day for everyone. Now, I don't know if this is her normal composure, but it seems very strange. Seems very off to me. So now we have another Utah channel, news channel, and listen to this student. Now, listen for the similarities.
Didn't have to say about that.
Trans shooters, and then it gets shot right then at that time. That's crazy.
Yeah.
What happened?
Everybody is going.
What'd you see?
So I saw Charlie Kirk get shot in the neck. I saw blood come out of his neck, and I heard a gunshot from like the left side.
What was?
So she's saying she heard a gunshot from the left side. We don't know where she was, but again, saw him get shot in the neck. So the blood coming out, some people are saying it's like a squib load or it's fake. So there's some kind of Hollywood magics guy that could make the blood look like it's squirting out. Maybe, but all these people are saying they saw him get shot in the neck, and I assume it's because the blood came out.
What's going on? Tell me about the event.
So I was in line to speak at the event, and I was like the fifth in line, and then someone brought up talking about transgender.
So she was going to speak. Typically, the people that speak at these Charlie events, at least in my experience so far, tend to be people on the left who are against Republicans or specifically against the views of Charlie Kirk.
Gun violence, and someone ended up shooting him right when he was talking about that.
And then what happened?
After that, all the students got on the floor. I got on the floor, and then for a second, everyone was on the floor, and then we all ran because we were scared.
So it's interesting that all these people being interviewed are saying the floor. It's the ground. I don't know. It's a weird way to talk. Like if I'm outside and I'm going to have a picnic, I'm not going to put my blanket on the floor, right? It's going to go on the ground. Just a weird way to talk.
From the shooting.
What do you think of all this?
I think that the school should put into place more protection because now a lot of students are going to be traumatized or deal with trauma, and they're not going to be able to focus on their schoolwork. And I feel like it's not a safe environment to be holding events like that if you're not ready and prepared to protect the people who are coming to be in those events.
Now, I 100% agree with that. That was very well put. So if you're going to have these events, make sure you're protecting the people that are coming to these events. So far, it seems like a lot of these interviews, I mean, you can pick at anyone, right? Like people could they could interview me on something and I may have some things I say that seem weird or kind of strange to other people. But there were some similarities between these different things, the way people said things, the weird things that people said, like getting on the floor. we all got down on the floor. They're outside an outdoor event. They got on the ground or they got on the concrete. It's just strange ways to talk. And then the similarity where they're all saying they saw him get shot in the neck, and they were all close. And then it seems like a couple of the different sets of people that got interviewed were possibly in the same group. You know, the 5 adults and the 11 kids. Kind of strange. So then we have this guy here. I'm not sure what's going on with the audio in his mouth and the voice. Seems very strange, but this guy has some things to say. And apparently he was there with his son to debate Charlie Kirk. Again, anti-Charlie Kirk people in these interviews.
And I had heard that there was going to be some counter protesters, so I brought my gear, and I was on the upper balcony filming counter protesters, interviewing, asking them why they didn't like Charlie Kirk, that kind of thing. When the shots rang out, and my son was directly below me, waiting in line to ask Charlie a question. So I rushed over to the balcony and immediately started calling him on my phone.
So it seems like this guy might be the angle that I was showing earlier, where he can kind of see the tent from up on the building behind him. But he's saying that his son was going to ask Charlie a question and that he was there to film anti-protesters, anti-Charlie protesters.
And that's when he told me that Charlie had been shot. And that's the chaos unfolded from there.
Did you know exactly what was happening at that point? Again, as you mentioned, your son had let you know you're just there covering this event as he's attending. So did it take you kind of a second to process, especially as you look at that video and you see the large crowds and the people running?
So now if this is his footage, you can see that him and this other guy over here, they're just standing and watching. The people next to him are ducked down. So isn't it a little bit strange that he's sitting up filming, or maybe he's ducked down behind the camera? I don't know, but it's panning around and stuff. So is he standing there with the camera filming this while everyone else is still actively down, meaning the shot just rang out? There could be more shots. There's still danger there. So why is he sitting there casually filming?
Yeah, you can see the kind of the way the buildings are positioned around us. So when the shot rang out, it kind of echoed around those buildings. And I initially thought it could have been firecrackers. And that was the first thing I said was, what?
So you hear that again. He says he thought it might have been firecrackers. So some people are saying they heard loud gunshots, but other people, lots of people, are saying this like pop or this firework type sound, which doesn't really fit with a firearm. So it's very strange.
Was that firecrackers? And people started screaming, there's a shooter, and started running. And that was when my son answered and said Charlie had been shot. I knew at that point that it was not, simple firecrackers.
So his son and his phone worked, but all these other people's phones didn't work. It's interesting. Now, this one's really interesting. Again, it seems like we have this same group of like 15 or 16 people with 5 adults and 11 kids.
Tiffany Barker and Taylor Bell-Dean, I really appreciate you both coming on tonight, and I'm so sorry for the violence that you and your family witnessed. Tiffany, why don't we start with you? I know that there were 15 members of your family, 11 of them children there that day. Can you walk me through the moment that single shot rang out? What happened? What do you remember?
Yeah, we were all spread out throughout the whole area. There were thousands of people. Everybody was just so excited and so happy to see Charlie Kirk. All these kids just loved him and looked up to him. The shot rang out, and we thought that, I think everybody looked around thinking, what is that? But a lot of people saw it. It was hard to see because there was so many people.
So a lot of people saw it, but it was hard to see because there's so many people. Yeah, it's just, it seems like really bad acting to me, but let's keep going.
Heartbreakingly, my kids saw it. This is my niece here. She saw, all these kids saw it because they came up close to see him.
So again, there's the niece, and the other one, there's 2 random girls. She has daughters, but she never has her daughters with her.
And then it was horrifying because we didn't know where each other were. And it was my sisters and I, my parents, and then a bunch of our kids. And so we're looking everywhere. My younger daughter was 12, and she gets separated. And then I was looking for all the kids, and they made us all leave. Everybody fell to the ground first. Then we stood up to run out.
They made them all leave. So you have thousands of people and a few security, and they made them all leave. I think they made themselves leave when they heard a gunshot and started running. This doesn't fit.
And people just yelled, Charlie's down. They shot Charlie. Charlie's down.
Tiffany, at what point did it register with you that it was actually a shot?
It probably took 3 seconds because it was silence. And then people just started like screaming and crying, and people fell to the ground. It's kind of the reaction was like, and you kind of think when you're in a big crowd like that, did something actually happen, or did they just get scared? And it hit me instantly, and you could feel a rush of evil over the whole area. I just felt pure evil. She felt pure evil. Now, interesting way to talk, but I felt pure evil in the take over the area. Sure, I mean, some people talk like that. Some very religious or spiritual people talk like that, but it's not normal language, right? I felt pure evil take over the area, and I heard people say Charlie's been shot. And I immediately called in the name of God for peace and to protect my kids, because you cannot look anywhere but God when there's that much evil around. And I'm looking for my kids. I don't know where they are. I can't find my children. And not just mine, but my little nieces and nephews were scattered everywhere. Again, she's talking about her nieces and nephews. What about her daughter? She said she had a 12-year-old daughter. How come her daughter's not here? And how come she didn't say that she was worried about her daughter? Maybe her daughter was next to her side. And they're taken all different places. We had a niece, didn't know what to do, and just grabbed these two college girls next to her. My little niece is 14, and she said, "Can you help me?" And they said yes. And they grabbed her and took her to their apartment and kept her there for hours while we were on lockdown. Her little brother was put in a room. Someone just grabbed him and put him in a room and locked him in a room with some people. We didn't know if it was going to be more people gunned down. We didn't know what was going to happen. But I do know and will testify that the power of God is real. It is real. And it gave me instant peace to know that God is over all of this, and to know that it's all a prophesy that he's coming back. These are the last days. These are calamities. Charlie gave his whole entire life testifying of Jesus Christ. So she felt peace knowing that Charlie just been shot. So what do you think about this? I mean, these are very strange characters if they are real people. If this is real acting and this is what really happened and they truly believe what they're saying, this is not normal behavior. This is not normal language. This is not normal mannerisms or reactions to this kind of thing. I don't know. What do you think? And now we hear from the niece.
My initial thought was just shock. I was so scared. I was like, oh no, I was thinking it's a gunshot, but then I was thinking it's in Utah, so it's maybe just a firework, because no one was dropping to the ground just yet. And then everyone started screaming. So people dropped to the ground immediately. So as soon as the shot happened, probably within 1001, Mississippi, people were dropping down to the ground. She's saying that people weren't dropping to the ground yet. And freaking out, so I knew it was a gunshot, and I was so scared, and I had no idea what to do, and
So I know that people have legitimate feelings and emotions. The way that she's doing this looks very rehearsed. And then the mom coming over right on cue. It just all looks like this is a big setup. Like this looks like hired actors to me.
It was like really emotional for me because knowing that he got shot, and
I want to point out there's 0 tears. So she's sniffling and she's supposed to be like crying, but there's 0 tears.
It's just really heartbreaking to me, and just like so hard to see how everyone came together and how everyone just dealt with that situation. And I just think it's really important to turn to God, especially at this time. That's what Charlie wanted us to do. That's what I want people to do. That's what I don't know. Yeah.
Taylor, I know this is a lot, and don't be sorry for a moment. I really appreciate you speaking on this. Did either of you actually see what happened? I know you were only 15 feet away, and there was just this eruption and this chaos. Did either of you actually see Charlie in that moment?
I had looked away right then, but my daughter saw it and my nieces saw it. Did you see it too?
I didn't see him get shot, but I saw it a minute later when they posted the video online.
Yeah, as did so many of us.
Yeah,
why is she laughing while she's saying that? Why is she laughing while she's saying, I saw it a minute later when they posted the video online? A little strange. So then we have this guy, and listen to how he describes what happened to Charlie.
After I got done talking to him, I really couldn't exit because there's such a big crowd. So I turned around, and like 10 to 20 seconds later, after I got done talking to Charlie, I saw that he was shot in the neck and that he was squirting blood everywhere. But I was piecing things together, and it was really weird because the second guest that I talked to before I went and asked him the question, what I was going to ask him, he was talking to him about how he was going to ask about transgenderism or something like that, but nothing about shootings. And this is
so it's interesting that this is the guy that was supposedly talking to the other guy who was acting, who was practicing his reaction, who actually asked the question when Charlie got shot.
the irony that came to me, which was like right when he asked that, not like 5-10 seconds later, he was shot.
It seems like a lot of these people seem to either know each other or they're interrelated somehow.
I heard the loud crack.
He believed he heard a gunshot.
And as soon as I thought that, I saw Charlie's neck explode.
Baird dove into the fountain, and in the hours since that time, he hasn't been able to escape the images of the shooting.
So he casually just said Charlie's neck explode with zero emotion. Kind of interesting.
Watched the video for like 10. It's like...
Coming to terms with what happened has cut to his core.
It's just like super positive experience. And then someone ruins that.
Baird says he's since found some clarity.
The story was that Charlie Kirk was murdered for his political views.
And as everyone contemplates what's next,
there's a cancer growing in our society.
He hopes for reflection on where the country could be headed.
Did he say what that cancer was? And then we have this guy here. And like Coach Colin and a lot of other channels are saying, they all look like agents.
And Ryan, the reason why we're talking today is because you were actually at Utah Valley University when this happened. You were there in the crowd, and that's why we're talking. I want you to give me, if you can, recount what happened. What were you doing, when this all went down?
Yeah, so I wanted to just start out with, I'm not a University of Utah, a UVU student. I heard from some friends that Charlie Kirk was going to be coming to town. I've always been a fan of Charlie. I have some questions for Charlie. I don't align with him 100%, but I thought...
So always been a fan, but I don't align with him. And he has your typical military mustache. Let's see what he says.
This was a great opportunity to go down to the campus, which is really close by, and ask him a couple of questions. So as I'm, once I'm getting on campus, I had the mindset of, okay, this is a pretty big college. This is going to be a pretty large event. I left my firearm in my car, thinking that there would be security checkpoints, there would be metal detectors, and I just didn't want to have the hassle of, in the event that there is a metal detector, that I would just have to go back to my car, be late to the event. So I'm approaching the school, bunch of students. I didn't really see any signs of where to go, so I was just looking on Google Maps.
So that's interesting. She didn't ask him anything about his firearm. No one else has said anything about checking their firearm or if they concealed carried or anything like that. But he makes a point to say that he stopped and put his firearm in his car. That's interesting. Interesting detail. It doesn't seem like it's part of the story, but let's keep going.
Maps to see where that pavilion area was or courtyard area was. And as I'm just getting closer and closer, I hear other students talking about the event. I'm not seeing really any security. I was trying to pay attention to it. As we understand, there were, I believe, 8 security detail.
So this is really interesting. So it seems to me, based on all the military people that I know, my father being military, my father-in-law being a Army Ranger, everything that he's saying to me sounds like recon. So he put his gun away because he figured there might be security. He's walking through, he's listening to everyone else, he's gathering information, and then he's looking specifically for security. He was looking out for it. Interesting. And then now he's kind of talking about, I think there might have been like 8. I bet he could tell you exactly how many there were and what they were wearing and if they had weapons on them or not. Let's keep going.
Personnel with Charlie, and then 6 that were campus, but I didn't see anybody. And so when I first got into the courtyard and there's just a big crowd of students, there were some red flags that popped up for me. I was like, okay, so I'm now this close to this large group of people. I see students with backpacks. There was no bag check. There was no metal detectors. And I was immediately concerned. But I was like, what the heck,
Now that's the question. Do they ever have bag checks and metal detectors at these events? I'm going to have to do some research on that because I would say probably not. Their job is to protect Charlie's physical body, not to lock down the campus, technically. But let's keep going.
this is Utah, this is UVU. What's really gonna happen? But I was a little bit more cautious. I realized that there's a super packed, tight knit crowd. If something were to escalate, this could be a really dangerous situation for everybody.
So what does tight knit crowd mean? I don't know what that means. He's part of this crowd, and he said that he wasn't even going to go there. His friend told him about it, and he just happened to go last minute or whatever. And there's a lot of these in these interviews. You hear a lot of these people are very last minute. Some of them even got tickets and passes to get in to other events where Charlie Kirk was, like the TPUSA event afterwards. One guy said he just happened to get a pass and get in the same day. So I find it very interesting. A lot of these people seem to just get into these events easily, and they all seem to be kind of last minute. And then he says it's a tight-knit group. But sure, maybe it's UVU, maybe it's like a Mormon or, however you want to be called, type of like religious area. So you might have some of them at the college. But then you had a lot of people who were anti-Charlie Kirk, who were there to debate him. So how can you call that a tight-knit crowd? I don't know. Let's keep going.
And as I'm getting towards the crowd, I'm just looking on the roofs as well. Just briefly, I'm just glancing around.
So again, a normal everyday person does not just walk into an event and check the roofs and count security, 8 of this, 6 of that, right? Like this is definitely military background or some kind of agent or something. Like normal people don't think that way.
I don't see any security personnel up there either. So I was also concerned about that as well. I was a little further towards the back in the very beginning when Charlie first started, and I had my questions. So I decided to start wedging my way through the crowd. We had people on the right that were heckling the crowd, and there's some dialogue back and forth. The first speaker, I was about 50 feet away at this point. The first speaker had finished up speaking with Charlie. Second speaker gets up, starts asking questions just off the cuff about trans shooters, and Charlie's responding. I think it's no more than 20 seconds. And I'm listening, but I'm focused on how I can navigate my way through the crowd. And I hear a shot ring out, and it was weird the way the sound reflected off the building and off of everybody that was there. I guess I haven't been downrange from a shot before, but it didn't sound like it was a firearm, which was really weird. But from my perspective, again, I've never been downrange from.
So that's interesting. We have yet another person saying that it didn't sound like a firearm. Others saying it sounded like fireworks. Some said it sounded like a crack or a pop.
A discharged firearm. So that gives me new perspective as well. At that point, people in front of me, they duck down and they start screaming. I briefly see Charlie's head kind of go to the side, and then I got pushed back by the crowd, and everybody starts running back. So I stay out of everybody's way. I pull out my phone and start recording. I try to get down to where Charlie was speaking, and there's still a few people that are hanging around.
So again, this is like recon. So Charlie just got shot. He sees him fall over. People knock him back in the crowd. They're getting away, right? They're trying to get away from the danger. And this guy just pulls out his phone and just starts filming. Is that normal? I don't know. Maybe it is normal.
I wasn't really focused on what they were doing, but I was just trying to just get video. And I saw a little bit of blood. Again, I wasn't hyperly focused. It was very quick. It was very fast paced. And it's being in a tragic and traumatic, I guess, event like this. It's very curious just to look back and reflect and try to remember what I saw in that moment, because so much was happening. And by the time I had gone down there, the police had escorted away the guy who claimed he did it. Obviously, we know it wasn't him, and we know it was Tyler. Well, we assume it was Tyler Robinson based on the news that's coming out today. They still have to do their investigation, right? So we can't jump to conclusions yet. But then Charlie was also gone. I mean, they took Charlie away pretty quickly from the footage that we saw. From that point, people are just devastated. People are crying. I mean, I guess I kind of jumped through the details a little too quickly, but as everybody is running away, they're screaming, people are crying, people can't believe what just happened, people are praying that Charlie's okay. I went up to the tent where they were handing out information. It was just higher up in the courtyard, and there were a bunch of Turning Point USA, I think, members that were there that were helping put on the event. And we all said a prayer together, and it was a come together type of a moment. And we still saw the frustrating thing for me is after this occurred and I went inside the building, I overheard people talking about it. Some people were excited. Some people were glad that this happened. I saw people smiling. And as we've seen on social media, we've seen a lot of people cheering this on and celebrating.
So he's saying right after this happened, he just got pushed back by the crowd. He just got done filming all this kind of stuff. And then he goes inside and there's people celebrating right then. So what are your thoughts? Again, another interview. Does this seem legitimate? Does this seem made up? So then we have kind of this montage here.
UVU kind of failed him in a way.
They were just debating about actually gun violence. And I hear like a pop noise. I see his head go back and I see blood just start to gush out. And I turn around because it sounded like it came from up behind me and above, which it sounds like everybody's saying the same thing.
So she's wearing, I think this is like a support the police shirt or something similar when you have the flag with the blue on it. She says that, the blood gushed out of his neck, says it casually. And then she says, everyone agrees it came from behind. I don't know about that, but it's interesting.
And then I saw everybody going to the ground. So I went to the ground. I wasn't too scared because I wasn't hearing it peppering at that point, but I was traumatized.
I mean,
she wasn't scared. Not at all. But she was traumatized.
Everyone could tell that something was really, really wrong. So everyone ducked. I ducked down with Emma. We were holding each other, and she said a prayer for him and his family, and then we ran.
So do you think if someone was shooting at you, regardless of whether you're religious or not, are you going to take the time to say a prayer for him and his whole family while there's gunshots coming? I don't know.
Along with everyone else.
It hit me when they kind of rushed to Charlie's side after he collapsed. That's when it kind of clicked in my head and everybody started running around. Before that, I was kind of, I don't know if the word's like in awe, but just kind of...
Shocked,
yeah,
probably.
Yeah, just shocked.
So he said awe. Could have just been a Freudian slip, but usually when you're in awe of something, that means that you like it or it's a positive thing. But she corrected him to say that he was in shock.
I was just kind of confused.
We registered for tickets, but they weren't even looking for tickets. Anyone could just walk in. It was at probably the worst place in campus because there's so many areas where anyone can.
So that's interesting. He's kind of reiterating what the other guy said. There's no security. They're not checking tickets. You had to get tickets and register for them, but you didn't need them. You could just walk in. No metal detectors, no security anywhere except around Charlie himself, supposedly. So basically, this was wide open to anyone. Is that normal? Is that normal for these kind of events? If you work in this industry, let me know in the comments down below. Is it normal to not really have any checkpoints or security or anyone checking tickets for this stuff?
Just walk in. So yeah, I would say the security level, I would say UVU kind of failed him.
Interesting. He would say that UVU failed Charlie Kirk. So what do you guys think? We're seeing a lot of commonalities. Bad security or no security. No one checking tickets. Tons of entrances, lots of ways to get in. Bad location. A lot of people coming last minute. They just heard about it from a friend. And then you have these recurring people that keep popping up on all these different channels and stations. Many from the same family of like 5 adults and 11 children. Just working the circuits, just very, very awkward. Now, all of this was from like the day after or like, the first week or two after. This was in the past. And then there's a new one that came out that has these 4 witnesses. And we'll go over that too. I know this video is getting a little bit long, but I just want you to look into the psychological piece of this stuff. And yes, we're trying to figure out who did it and how it happened and all that stuff that people really enjoy, the mysterious piece. But I want you to see the psychological part of this too. So let's check out this interview. So here in this video, another Salt Lake City, Utah news station. 4 witnesses speak out about Charlie Kirk shooting at Utah University. Now, some of the channels have kind of reviewed this, but I want to do kind of my own take on it.
September 10th, the day that was supposed to be about conversation and ideas, turned into a public assassination on the campus of Utah Valley University. Charlie Kirk was gunned down in front of thousands of people who were there to see him during his college campus tour. But these four, who did not know each other before that day, agreed to come back to the campus and sit down with me.
Now, it's very weird that he... These four witnesses who absolutely did not know each other, I want to make it very clear. These four people, they don't work together and they don't know each other, okay? I just want to make sure that's very clear before we start this interview. All right, let's keep going.
And talk about what they saw, how they have been coping, and what that incident taught them about America today.
People were running everywhere, shouting. There was a
Four strangers forever linked by a single moment they can't unsee at Charlie Kirk's Prove Me Wrong tour. Jason Behunin, Christian Overton, Kurt Lichty, and 15-year-old Carter Lloyd all stood somewhere in the crowd on September 10th. Jason is in the red hat in this picture, just off to Charlie's right.
When I was coming into UVU, I hadn't been following Charlie Kirk very much at all, except for the last few months. I didn't really know much about Turning Point or anything like that. I was like, oh, he still has tickets. I checked online and went to UVU, got the ticket, or went to Turning Point, got the tickets to come in, and came in about 45 minutes early and worked my way all the way down into the front row.
So again, another person coming last minute. And just like the other gentleman, he worked his way down to the front.
Rally-like energy surrounding a speaker others had followed for years.
I was just to Charlie's right, maybe 30, 40 feet up, and the excitement was there. It was palpable, the energy, we were cheering.
So he was to Charlie's right as well. So the other gentleman was right in the front on Charlie's right, and this guy is just a little bit more up on Charlie's right.
And fist bumping. The charisma and the charm and the wisdom out of this guy is just incredible.
Christian, where were you in relation to the stage, to the tent, and what do you remember about it?
We noticed that there was a little place where you could stand off from the stage, and so I said, well, why don't you stay here? I'll run down and talk to the security that were coming in at that time to see if we could stand there. And we got...
So now, keep in mind, all these people keep trying to get closer and closer to Charlie for some reason. A lot of them saying they came in last minute because they just, just found out he was in town last second. My family member or friend just said he was in town, so why not? I'll go and I'll make sure I get front row. I want to make sure I'm right there in the front.
Down there, and I talked to him and then waved him to come down. So that's where we were at, and we waited about a half hour, really excited. We kept looking at each other going, are you kidding me? We're right here off the stage. This is amazing. And about a half hour after is when Charlie arrived. He started throwing out hats, and then he had given one to my son, personally handed it to my son. And I remember him taking off his hat and putting the 47 hat on his head. And man, we were just excited.
Carter, you're the youngest one here. Tell me how old you are.
I'm 15.
You're 15. Why did you decide to go out there that day?
My mom and sister, they love politics a lot, and our family is just very into politics. And I remember my mom telling us in St. George that he was coming to UV.
Every family loves politics. How many of you guys just sit around with your family and just talk about politics because it's so great?
So we thought, we all agree with Charlie, so we're like, why not go and see him?
Tell me again where in relation you were to the stage and what you remember when everything started to happen.
I remember, it's crazy when you experience something so crazy, your mind remembers simple things that aren't very simple to you anymore. I remember turning around to see my mom smiling while recording. I remember seeing a book on the ground, just Charlie's book. People chanting USA.
Then, in a single second, at 2:23 p.m., the sound that changed everything.
When the pop went off, it was almost impossible to process that what's happening. There's no way this is happening here. And we took a knee. I was there with my son, took a knee immediately. Our first thought was, this is a mass shooting. There's going to be more shots, so let's be careful. Let's watch out. Can we find the shooter? And then when we only heard that first shot, we knew, okay, this was targeted specifically for Charlie. So now let's get people out of here. Let's clear the place.
I'd be interested to know what that timeline was between realizing it was just a single shot for Charlie and a mass shooter. How would you know the difference? I mean, a mass shooter might do a shot every couple minutes. Doesn't mean they're just going to unload all at once. I don't know. These people seem to be very, very comfortable very quick. After Charlie was shot and died, they get really comfortable and they have peace. And they just thank God for the peace that's around. And this guy's saying, you know, after the first shot, he felt comfortable just hanging out there and helping other people out.
And still on our way walking to find my other son who was on campus as well, we were just dumbfounded, shocked, in total disbelief of what had just happened.
About the time that the second student came up to the mic, we just moments after heard the shot. The shot came from the left side, and I looked over just like that, and I thought, wow, isn't that funny? Somebody lit off a firework. It's really what it sounded like somebody just lit a firework.
So again, you're hearing that firework or like a pop, just like a non-firearm sound. And, you know, downrange, that can sound that way in certain situations, especially the further away that it gets. Maybe the way that it bounced off the walls and the reflections, but it seems interesting that everyone keeps saying that. So I'd like to do some research into like what does a gunshot sound like fireworks from far away? I don't know.
And I went right back to look at Charlie, and that's where I saw the hole in his neck.
So he said he saw the hole in Charlie's neck. So if you watch the video of Charlie getting shot, which I don't recommend, you will see he gets hit, and then then the blood comes out. And it's very graphic. But for him to say that he saw the hole in his neck, kind of like people saying that, you know, he got shot in the neck. Maybe it was so obvious. Like maybe it was from that distance that they were at. They all want to get to the front, right? They're right there in the front. All of them just happen to be real close to Charlie. You know, they get in the front. They see him get shot in the neck. Maybe they saw the blood squirt out. I don't know.
Left side, and I looked over just like that, and I thought, wow, isn't that funny? Somebody lit off a firework. It's really.
So why is he? So this kind of goes to the guy who's talking about like Erica Kirk and the way that she was acting and like directing with her hands and stuff. He said, I looked over like that and thought, wasn't it funny that I heard a firework? Kind of strange, right? Like typically if you're recalling something, first of all, you're going to recall it like real time. Like, so I look over and I was like, you know, it sounded like a firework. You're not going to sit there and say, oh, so I looked over like this. Let me demonstrate. I looked over like this, and then I heard a pop. Now let me demonstrate the pop sound, right? That's not how people recount things. It's just very strange.
What it sounded like somebody just lit a firework. And I went right back to look at Charlie, and that's where I saw the hole in his neck. And I immediately at that point grabbed my son and took him down. Much like her just said, I mean, we didn't know if there was going to be shots to follow or what. At that point, you know, it was all.
Now, see, that's more common thinking. So the other person was saying, I heard a shot and I figured it was just for Charlie, so I'm just going to hang out and help people. He's saying what most people would be thinking is, we don't know if there's more shots coming. You have no way of knowing, so get the hell out of there, right?
Matter of how do we get out of here? You know, what's the safest way? And obviously there was a lot of people trying to do the same. So,
do you replay that moment in time? Have you replayed it in your mind?
In the most unexpected times, which is so odd, because I like to think that I'm pretty resilient. However, it does resurface in unexpected times that is played out.
I didn't know what to think. I actually kind of just went numb at the point.
So now this is just an observation. I'm not alleging anything or saying anything specific, but this looks like, you know, maybe 4 agents. These 4 people that they made a very good point at the beginning to say that they don't know each other. These are 4 witnesses who do not know each other whatsoever. The way they all carry themselves, they're all so professional. Like, see how they're all sitting very proper, right? And they're all like very well kept. From the people that I've known in my life, I've had many friends that are federal agents, and that's kind of what the feel that I'm getting from these people. You know, it seems like they're agents that are acting this way.
And I didn't know what was going on. Just everybody started yelling and screaming. I was numb. I was very confused. very, very confused. I didn't know what had happened. I had heard shots before, but it just didn't seem like this was the place that something like that would happen.
So there's a lot of cheering going on, and then this gunshot rings out. Then what do you remember about the next few moments?
I looked to my left, and like he said, like he thought it was a firework. I mean, like my family just said we were waiting for like confetti to pop out until I look at Charlie and his face is like, it's just the life goes out of his eyes.
So, how close was she that she could see Charlie's eyes? Everyone else is looking at all this stuff spraying out of his neck, right? They're talking about this hole in his neck and the explosion and all the different ways people have said it from the witnesses. She said she could see the life come out of his eyes. She must have been pretty close. And she must have been looking right in his eyes when he got hit. I don't know. Kind of strange.
I remember falling to the ground. I'm sorry. And I see my mom's face as she's like hyperventilating. And I see my older sister Jordan. And just her face in absolute shock.
Now, here we have tears, right? Some other people could take a page from her book.
I remember a man jumped on top of my sister's yelling, "Stay down." And then when I looked back to where Charlie was, I see his body getting carried out, covered in blood. And you just feel...
So she said he was covered in blood. A lot of other accounts said there was no blood. Some said there was very little blood. And the people that were working on him in some images didn't have blood. And in other ones, they had blood on their hands. Interesting details.
Absolute terror. Like, I just remember thinking, like, am I gonna die? Or are they gonna keep on shooting?
The cheers collapsed into chaos. Kurt is a combat veteran and former law enforcement officer.
Did you actually see Charlie when he was hit? Did you see it?
We did. We saw Charlie, and I'm a former police, former military, I'm a combat veteran, and I knew as soon as...
Not surprised.
He got hit, he was dead. And when they said on the news that they were trying to...
So he knew the second he got hit that he was dead. Maybe. I mean, if you saw some wars and you've done some tours and you've seen people get shot and seize up certain ways, or you see that much blood come out of their body and you know they didn't make it, maybe. But how would you know? You'd have no idea. Just seeing him get shot and fall off his chair and then his team goes around him, you have no idea if he's dead or not.
Help him. I was praying to God that they could come up with a miracle. God can do miracles, but when I saw him get hit, I knew he was gone.
So God can do miracles, but I knew he was gone. God can't do that miracle.
He was dead on impact.
One of Kurt's sons was on the other side of campus.
It was chaos. It was chaos. I was still processing. I called his wrong phone number like 18 times and he wasn't answering. So then I started.
Okay. So this ex-military, ex-police called the wrong phone number for his own son 18 times. So for anyone that has one of these guys, how often are you sitting there dialing the numbers of your loved ones, especially your children or your wife or your husband? Or do you just tap their head? You just tap their name, right? So 18 times he dialed the wrong number. So was he picking up his phone and dialing 18 times and wrong every time? Was he hitting call again over and over again on the wrong one? Highly unlikely, right? It just seems really strange. And the detail that it was 18 times specifically, it's kind of strange too. Like an actual recount would have been more like, you know, I tried to call my family member over and over again, but apparently I was dialing the wrong number. But to say 18 times specifically, I tried to call my son on the cell phone where you only have to tap his name. Do you have the wrong number in there for your son's name? Kind of strange.
Freaking out. but we were able to connect. People were running everywhere, shouting.
As police locked down campus, Kurt and his 2 sons began helping others.
Mr. Rogers says try to find those who are helping in a disaster like this. So we tried to find people we could help.
So that's what you do when times get hard. If you're military or police, you quote Mr. Rogers. That gets everyone motivated.
Help people who were crying, tried to console them, tried to get people to get rides, call their mom. And then once we were together, me and my sons, we called their mama and made sure we got off campus before everything was locked down.
All 4 witnesses left with images that still won't fade, and the process of healing has been messy and personal.
How have you been coping and getting through this?
The first couple weeks, couldn't sleep. It's up till 2 a.m. trying to correct people online who were saying stupid things about what was going on and what they saw and what they know about UVU. And I'm like, you don't understand. This is my school. This is my kid's school. So I thought that was.
So look at how much he's smiling. Like he's recounting this stuff and he's defending his school from these trolls online that are saying bad things about the school or whatever he's talking about. But even throughout this whole interview so far, he's smiling constantly. What's he amused about?
My mission just to correct every moron on the internet. It's too many. But like Christian said, the only path forward is healing and helping.
Christian started a Facebook support group for anyone who was there to join.
Tell me about the group and why you started it, and has that been helping you cope?
Absolutely, it has. I knew that my path to healing, even immediately after what I had witnessed, would be to attempt to help others, try to process.
Okay, so you can't say this guy doesn't look like an agent, right? I'm not saying he is. I'm not even alleging that he is. I'm saying he looks like an agent. And just playing devil's advocate here, if you're an agent or you work for some kind of government agency and you want to get all the witnesses in one place to kind of monitor them and kind of see their activities and see what they're doing, what better place than to create a group and have them all join for free for support, for emotional support. Then you can keep track of everybody. It's genius.
And try to be there as a support while I was trying to figure out how I was going to come to grips with dealing it on my own terms. And so from a therapy standpoint, I think that has helped me quite a lot.
How about your son? Tell me how old your son is. He was here as well on that day. How is he doing, and how are you helping him?
We haven't had a lot of discussion. I've given him his space. We've had him in therapy as well. He's going to have to, and he's obviously knows that I'm here for him when he's ready to talk, when that time becomes, apparent for him. But right now, it's a tough thing to deal with.
Is it fair to say that more than a month later, you're still kind of figuring out how you're gonna?
Time becomes, apparent for him. But right now, it's a tough thing to deal with.
Is it fair to say that more than a month later, you're still kind of figuring out how you're gonna?
Absolutely.
Deal with this?
Yeah, no question.
And your son too?
And him as well, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And has this event changed you and your family?
Without a doubt, absolutely. I was making the comment earlier, I like to think that I'm pretty resilient, but it seems that at some of the least expected times it will resurface.
So he said this twice now, that he's resilient, and it sounds like he's trying to make sure he gets this quote in there for some reason.
Catch you by surprise.
I kind of buried it down. I'm still processing it. I've not ever got over it. It's probably something I will never get over. I think about the event every time I drive by UVU. I try not to look at the old pictures that I have on my phone of the videos of that day and stuff like that. And I went home and I just kind of buried it down. I never really talked about it to anybody except for, Christian here and my wife, and that was it.
So, interesting thing. They said that these witnesses don't know each other. And he just said that he had been talking about it to Christian here. So is Christian one of the people that's being interviewed? Or is Christian the host? Because it looks like he's looking to and talking to the host. So did they just lie when at the beginning they said that no one knew each other? And now now he's saying that him and Christian had been talking back and forth before this. Interesting.
I can't look at UVU anymore. It's hard to look at UVU as you're driving down because I witnessed something that was tragic. It's hard to think about it.
Carter, how have you been processing this traumatic thing that happened really in front of you all in person, but in front of the world too? Everyone saw the video. How have you been processing it?
It was hard the first 2 weeks. It was really hard. I still think about it to this day. Sometimes it's the first thing I think about in the morning, or like if there's a loud sound in like my classroom, that I don't do good with those. I've been processing it is just really hard because normal things that were normal to you aren't very normal anymore. Like sometimes I see like a UVU sign that I just think of the shooting. Or I was talking to my mom about this, like how we can't do fireworks because that just brings us back and just.
Okay, so I'm not saying that this isn't true for her, but a gunshot, seeing somebody shot, one shot, and it sounds like a firework, right? But she's saying now that any loud sounds in the classroom, seeing a sign, hearing fireworks on the 4th of July, all this stuff would set her off. So that would be called PTSD, right? And it does happen. Someone is saying that she started a TPUSA chapter, which is interesting because what better way to take out TPUSA than to have a bunch of people infiltrate it and take it over from the inside out and start all these other chapters and get them in there and then start changing their minds about stuff. So yeah, what Charlie believed was this, but we actually believe he meant this. So you should start believing this now. And I heard a lot of things saying that, people are moving from the college age kids, TPUSA, now to like high schools, right? And then they also have, apparently, Erica, Kirk, and some of the TPUSA people have some affiliations with kids who are adopted or people that are homeless, mostly children, I believe, in other countries, like in Ukraine. And a lot of people have made a lot of allegations about that, but I find it interesting that she started a chapter.
She helped start a Turning Point USA chapter at her school.
It united us as students, as kids of the country, like what Charlie wanted us to do. We've had more people join the club, and we're just really excited because I see the patriotism and the passion and.
What is she looking at? She keeps looking up and to her left a lot, like she's almost like she's reading off of something. And she does, if you watch the interview, she does it constantly. She just keeps looking up at that, and she looks really hard at it. What is she looking at? Kind of strange.
The people in the club.
You could be doing anything, What do you get out of being involved in this chapter for you personally?
I think it's therapeutic. I think it's a lot better than sitting on the couch and scrolling on TikTok and it's just nice seeing good in the world. It's something that I need to see because what I saw was not good.
Processing the shooting has also meant reckoning with what justice should look like.
Do you think death penalty is justified if convicted? What's your take on this being a death penalty case here in Utah?
So now this is a very loaded question, and I think it's unfair to ask these people who, if this is all legit, these are people that are traumatized. They have PTSD, like this girl says she has PTSD. So this guy's saying, do you think the guy that shot Charlie, should we kill him? Kind of a strange question to ask these people, right? Like the girl just got done crying, right? And she's saying that everything reminds her of it and everything. And now he's like, well, should we kill the guy then? Should we kill him?
Yeah, I align with Charlie on the death penalty. The death penalty really is about valuing life. For those who don't value life enough to take someone else's life, there needs to be the consequence for that. So
that's a very contradictory statement. He's saying that Charlie and him and everyone else agrees that they value life. And he's saying that people that don't value life will take their life. It goes completely against itself. It makes no sense. It's ridiculous.
The death penalty, I think, is the right decision.
I used to work for Department of Corrections, so I worked death row.
So we have a guy that worked death row. We have a police officer, military guy, and then 2 mysteries.
And I've seen these people, and I've seen people that have been sentenced to death. And what bugs me the most is that they get convicted and sentenced to a death penalty, and then there's years they sit. And most of them just, until last year, I believe, they just expire on, of natural causes before they see the penalty.
It's hard because...
So he's irritated that these people on death row, and damn it, they don't die from getting zapped or getting shot in the face. They die from natural causes. That's what bothers him the most.
It's harsh, but also you do need justice. I think it's okay for the death penalty because it not only was just killing Charlie, but it was attack on the American people's rights and speech.
So she's saying, kill the dude. Just kill him. He was messing with our speech. Let's just kill him. Now, to me, that sounds like the people that took Charlie's life, right? The ones who are the extremists who are saying, if you disagree with us, we're going to kill you. And that's all over social media, right? So these people are starting to look just like them, only they're trying to package it a different way. Very interesting.
And just to think that we were killed just about speaking on our opinion is a very dangerous and scary thing. So I think it's a good balance. Like, too much justice is bad, and too much mercy, we won't have justice. So we just need a good balance.
So what do you guys think? This is all very interesting. So we have repeat people in different interviews kind of doing the circuit, right? And maybe they're getting paid per interview or something. And then you have the family of the 5 parents and the grandparents, and then like 11 kids were on multiple different interviews on different stations. And then one time the mother has two girls with her that she doesn't even say who they are. It's like just these 2 girls. And then the other one, she has her niece, but not her daughter. Her daughter's 12 and her daughter was there. How come her daughter's not on? Maybe she didn't want to be, but very interesting. And then you have several like ex-military, ex-police acting like military or like some kind of agent people all around him. And all of them were kind of last minute, kind of like working their way down to him in the crowd, right? They wanted to get as close as possible. And they talked to security to make sure they could get, really close. And they were excited about that. It's just really strange, right? And then they all talk about like the exploding neck calmly. And you would think to most people that'd be the most traumatic part. So a lot of this is very strange. And some of it was older from like a month ago. And some of it was from like a few days ago. But it's kind of consistent, right? I don't know. It just seems pretty strange. So let me know what you think down in the comments. And as always, if you want me to keep doing this kind of stuff, make sure you like, subscribe, and share this around so the algorithm's happy. And I'll see you guys on the next one.